Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'd been meaning to make this video before my May trip, but better late than never, right? I'm just going to be briefly going through a couple of my overall lists as of, let's say, April 2022, and then I'll do an updated list for June of 2022. First, let's get into the parks I've been to, just to kind of give an idea of where I'm coming from with my top 25. As of April 2022, I'd been to 24 parks. In order of states alphabetically, I've been to Lake Compounce, Quasi, Disney's Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot and Magic Kingdom, Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, Six Flags America, New England, Santa's Village, Storyland, Casino Pier, Maury's Piers, Nick Universe in New Jersey, Playland's Castaway Cove, Great Adventure, Great Escape, Dorney Park, Knoebels, Hershey Park, Sesame Place, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and King's Dominion. So a fairly good amount, but still not many big bucket list parks. I went to SeaWorld when I was like 2, but I don't count it because I didn't get on any coasters. Briefly, my top 10 parks are as follows. Number 10, Six Flags New England. They've got a good 1-2 punch, but it was my home park for 10 years and I worked there for 3, so while I do enjoy it, I feel like I've outgrown it a bit. Number 9, Six Flags Great Adventure. This was my secondary park since I was like 5, since I have family in the area. They've got a bigger and stronger ride collection than New England, but again, having visited for almost 20 years and having worked there for 2, I feel like I've also outgrown this one a bit. Number 8, Knoebels. This was a fun little park that I wish I could have spent more time at. I enjoyed the 3 coasters I got on and just walking around in the atmosphere. It has a cute fairground vibe with some top-tier coasters. Number 7, Disney's Magic Kingdom. I haven't been here since 2012, but how can you hate it? It's a magical place with great theming, fun rides and experiences, and a wonderful atmosphere. I want to get back here soon because I still haven't ridden Thunder Mountain and Seven Dwarfs. Also, Tron is opening soon. And I just love the atmosphere, characters, and dark rides. Number 6, Universal Studios Florida. Again, just a fun place with good theming to big blockbuster movies. Granted, these aren't my favorite movies, aside from Harry Potter, and favorite rides, so there are some parks that rank above it. But it's definitely fun. I do, however, get sensitive to screens and motion sickness related to screens, so rides like Simpsons, Despicable Me, and Gringotts don't do my stomach and head well. I didn't even ride Transformers because I knew it would hurt. Number 5, Epcot. I visited this for the first time in December 2021 since I was maybe 4 years old. This park's strengths definitely aren't the rides, but rather the culture and theming. It was so much fun to explore World Showcase, see some shows, poke in the shops, have a couple of drinks. The rides were also fun, and I lucked out by having waits that weren't too long, with the exception of Ratatouille. I haven't been since Guardians opened, so I'd like to get back on that. Again, though, I don't interact the best with screens, so I'm not sure how I'll like Guardians compared to my other favorite rides. Number 4, Islands of Adventure. A lot of the rides here have similar issues with my body with screens, like Forbidden Journey and Kong. Similar to Transformers, I didn't even ride Spider-Man because I knew it would hurt. That being said, I think the theming at Islands is stronger than at Studios. The distinction between the lands is much more obvious, and these are themes I tend to enjoy more. The last time I went was in 2017, just before Dragon Challenge closed, so I haven't gotten on Hagrid's or Velocicoaster yet, so I'm curious to go back and see how my opinion of the park changes with those new rides. Number 3, King's Dominion. This park was incredibly fun when I went for my first and most recent visit in 2021. They've got a really strong ride collection and a super fun atmosphere. And I'd love to spend some more days here exploring more and getting re-rides. Some of their rides had good theming, but the park itself wasn't very strongly themed. Number 2, Hershey Park. This is one of the strongest theme parks I've ever seen. Everything is candy themed, but they've also got boardwalk and zoo themes in the park. It's just so much fun to walk around, look at the theming, and experience the atmosphere. I could probably spend a day here just walking around and riding nothing. They do call it the sweetest place on earth for a reason. Number 1, Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I've wanted to visit Europe for so long, so the moment I stepped into this park, before they even officially opened, I was in love, as you can see. I remember walking around the Italy section after my first lap in the park, thinking, I could have this as my home park. I could come here every day. I could absolutely spend multiple days here just walking around without riding anything. There's fun shows, animal exhibits, and even just the decorations and music. I went in 2021, so I need to get back, not only to experience Pantheon, but also just to experience the park for another day. Alright, now let's talk about my top 25 coasters out of the 107 credits I had at the time. I'll say a few sentences about 11 through 25, and a little bit more about the top 10. Please keep in mind, some of the rides that people typically rank higher on their list might not be as high on mine because I grew up riding them. I don't want to say I got bored of them, so to speak, but they're not as exciting to me as some of my newer experiences on this list. Number 25, Twister at Knoebels. It's tall, forceful, pretty long, and relatively smooth. Knoebels takes good care of this ride. Number 24, Great White at Morey's Piers. This is also tall, long, and relatively smooth. I like the airtime, the drop out of the station into the boardwalk, and the setting on the beach. Number 23, Great Bear at Hershey Park. This is a unique layout for an invert, especially with the Helix pre-drop. I just wish it was longer and had less of a rattle. Number 22, Dragon Challenge, now defunct from Islands of Adventure. I enjoyed both sides equally when I rode. The dueling aspect was one of a kind, even if I never got a real duel. They're also just great standalone rides with super unique and pretty long layouts and pulling great forces. They did have a pretty big rattle, though. Number 21, Incredible Hulk Coaster at Islands of Adventure. I fell in love when I first rode this in 2012. The retrack is good, but my body has just become more susceptible to rattle, and the vest restraints don't help. But it's super intense, long, visually pleasing over the water, and unique with the drive tire launch lift into the 0G roll. Number 20, Dominator at King's Dominion. Floorless coasters were always just okay for me at best, but this thing was a beast. By far the smoothest floorless I've ridden, with only a bit of a rattle on the vertical loop. It's also the tallest and therefore fastest floorless I've ridden. Number 19 is Invader at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This is a nice, smaller scale GCI. It's got a good layout and pulls some good airtime and laterals. It's also pretty smooth. I just wish it was a little taller and longer, and that there was a little more theming along the layout. Number 18, Boulder Dash at Lake Compounce. This thing has gotten pretty rough over the years, but I can still appreciate the uniqueness of this coaster being built into the side of a mountain and using the terrain to its advantage. Number 17, Wooden Warrior at Quasi. This one is a little lesser known. It's shorter in height and duration, and at a pretty obscure park. But it packed a surprising punch, whipping you over the first drop, being really smooth and having some good pops of airtime. Number 16, Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. This Intamin vertical lift coaster was unique to me, with a big punch packed into such a small footprint. It was also pretty smooth for an inverting coaster with vest restraints. Number 5, Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags America. Aside from the extensive straight track, this ride is fun, smooth, and forceful, with good pops of airtime and crazy laterals on those helixes. Number 14, Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. This thing is almost perfect. I've just ridden it so many times. It's fast, tall, long, smooth, and has great ejector and laterals. I just wish the restraints weren't as constricting on the thighs. Number 13, Stormrunner at Hershey Park. While this ride is short, it's longer than the other Intamin accelerator coasters, like Ka. I like how it doesn't just end with the top hat and how it interacts with the terrain. It's also pretty smooth, but it's still a short ride in general. Number 12, El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Another one that is amazing, but I've just ridden so many times. The ejector on this is second to none, with those huge camelbacks that pull over that first drop and that rolling thunderhill. My only issue with this is that the coaster is starting to get rough, and most days I can't ride it more than once because I'll get a bad migraine. Number 11 is Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Yet another one that I love, but personal reasons have knocked it down. The thing is long, tall, smooth, and has great sustained floater. However, not only have I ridden this so many times, but I also worked it for 2 years. So I test rode all the time, and I also got that other side of the ride, with the various downtimes, guest issues, etc. While I do love this ride, it's definitely no longer my top choice. Alright, let's get into the top 10. I'll speak a little more about these, but still try to keep it brief. Number 10, Candemonium at Hershey Park. This and Nitro were neck and neck for me. Candy is smoother, but Nitro is longer. In my opinion, the forces each pull is about the same. Candy just got the edge over Nitro because I don't have that experience working it and test riding it every day. I also love the theming and how it fits in with the new park entrance. Number 9, Alpengeist at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This is taller, longer, more unique, and more forceful than the Batman clones that I'm used to. The theming is fun, and I love how this ride interacts with the valley in the middle of the park that some of the other coasters also interact with. This ride does have a bit of a rattle with some headbanging on the Cobra roll. It wasn't unbearable, but I opted out of a second ride due to a headache that had built up throughout the day, so I'll have to get on this again. Number 8, Griffin at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This was pretty close to Alpengeist, but there were 2 reasons it got the edge. First, it was my first dive coaster, so it was a fun new experience. Second, it ran smoother in my opinion. I was able to get 3 rides on this when I went, including a sunset ride, which was pretty cool. I do wish this ride was longer and more forceful, as is the wish with most dive coasters, but it's definitely fun, and the splashdown is a unique and very visually pleasing element. Number 7, Jersey Devil Coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. This was fun. It was my first single rail coaster, and at the time of its opening, it was the tallest, fastest, and longest single rail coaster, so that's also pretty cool. There was one little pothole after the first airtime hill, but other than that, it was super smooth. The vest collars got in the way of some airtime, but you still felt those forces pulling at you. It's incredibly whippy. I just feel like having that extra COVID year to build up hype made it overhyped by the time it opened. I feel like it opened in 2020 like it should have, that it would have gotten the appropriate amount of hype. I've ridden this a couple times, including, I believe, 3 rides on the employee preview night, so it's definitely something I could short marathon. Number 6. Phoenix at Knoebels. This ride looks so unassuming, but it's pretty smooth for a wooden coaster, and the airtime is insane. Between the profiling and the buzz bar that barely does anything, you're basically standing up for more of the ride than you're sitting. I also got on this 2 or 3 times when I visited with little to no migraine. Number 5. Sky Rush at Hershey Park. This ride pleasantly surprised me with that crazy first drop, insane ejector, and laterals. I remember being 90 degrees sideways in my seat as we went around the lake. Sure, the restraints are a little funky and uncomfortable, but I never had a major issue with them to the point of not enjoying the ride. Number 4. Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. I didn't even understand or fully appreciate this ride for what it was when it first opened in 2014. This thing is wild. It's a small-scale RMC, but it's super long, with 3 laps, 3 inversions, and some crazy ejector moments with the airtime hills and the double down. It's incredibly smooth, as RMCs are, and I could absolutely marathon this thing. It just sucks because I'm probably not getting back to this park anytime soon. Number 3 may be an unpopular opinion, but it's Verbolten at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Some people classify this as a family ride, which I don't personally think it is, but I love it for things other than its intensity. The spooky theming is fun, and I love the indoor bit with near-miss elements with the forest decorations. This was also my first drop track, so that was fun and new. The sound effects were really fun, with the creaky old tree noises both inside and on the brake before the iconic Big Bad Wolf turn. This is by no means the most intense ride at the park, but I personally found it the most fun. Number 2. Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. I'm more of a fan of airtime rather than laterals, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate some good positives in lateral Gs when they're there. This was my first Giga coaster, and it was so much fun. The cable lift is super fast, and before you know it, you're being whipped over that first drop and pulled immediately into that first bank turn. This is also the only coaster I've ever grayed out on, so you know that it's intense. This was my first experience with the snappy S-bends, which was just insane to be flung around like a ragdoll. Those trims on the second airtime hill do suck, and that they take away the airtime on that hill, but the ride picks up right back up as if it never slowed down. Number 1, Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. This ride blew me away. It was incredibly smooth, fast-paced, long, and just overall fun. Like Wicked Cyclone, it has a wonderful combination of ejector, laterals, inversions. It's really just a quick punch of everything. And it doesn't let up. This is my first barrel roll drop, and I didn't hate it, but I think I prefer regular drops to the inversion. That being said, the rest of the ride more than made up for that. I also love the eerie theming with the haunted apple grove. I was able to ride this twice, and the only headache I got was from not being able to wear my sunglasses on the ride, not the ride itself. Now I just want to briefly go into my bucket list parks and rides as of April 2022. They'll be super brief. My top 15 bucket list parks in the US are as follows. From number 15 to number 1. Lagoon, Kentucky Kingdom, Six Flags Over Georgia, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, Six Flags Fiesta Texas, Six Flags Magic Mountain, SeaWorld Orlando, Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, Knott's Berry Farm, Silver Dollar City, Dollywood, Carowinds, Holiday World, Kings Island, Cedar Point. And my top 25 bucket list coasters in the US are as follows, from 25 to 1. The Raven at Holiday World, The Beast at Kings Island, Hades 360 at Mount Olympus, Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood, Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia, Diamondback at Kings Island, Gatekeeper at Cedar Point, Cannibal at Lagoon, West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain, Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City, Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, Millennium Force at Cedar Point, Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, Hagrid's Magical Motorbike Creatures Adventure at Universal's Islands of Adventure, The Legend at Holiday World, Gold Striker at California's Great America, Lightning Rod at Dollywood, Maverick at Cedar Point, Velocicoaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure, Fury 325 at Carowinds, The Voyage at Holiday World, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Once again, thank you so much for catching up with me on my rankings and bucket lists as of April 2022 before my first big road trip of the year. In the next video, I'll be adjusting those lists for June of 2022, so be sure to stay tuned to see where all those new rides and parks fall into my overall rankings.